What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we got for you some core training for athletes. So this is kind of how we program our core training. It is very important to build some strength and stability for athletes. So hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays, so make sure you subscribe to catch all of them. Hope you enjoy. Alrighty, so number one, we're gonna go a single leg balance on a foam pad with a kettlebell. So we'll start off right here. Okay, we're just gonna hold this. Core stays really tight, just trying to balance. Ooh, not like that at all. Right, so just like this. Balancing the foam pad obviously makes it a little bit more challenging. You can totally start like without the foam pad, and that's kind of difficult too. Good Lord, I suck at this. But just balancing here, core stays tight to help you try to stabilize. We can also go a march, right? So I'm here and I'm just marching, very similar to that of a farmer's march, which we're actually gonna be showing you soon. In the sense that you don't wanna dip to one side, right? You wanna stay tall, you don't wanna compensate. The goal here is just to provide some type of trunk stability, right? So the trunk goes all the way throughout. It's not just, your six-pack muscles that you see, it's everything. It's very important for athletes for a multitude of different exercises, right? Especially if we're talking about like sprinting and stuff like that. So this is a great one to try to work on connecting the body all together and working on stability and strength, especially through that trunk. Number two, our foreshadowing from exercise one, we're going a walking farmer's march. So we can go a regular farmer's carry. I absolutely love those. We do those quite often with our athletes. But for a walking farmer's march, we're gonna hold, I'm just holding the kettlebell. We're gonna lift one, hold for a sec, step, step, 1, 2, step, step. So we're involving that stability, that trunk control. Same thing goes, keep your torso tall, right? I'm not trying to lean this way and I'm not trying to lean that way. I'm not having this here, I'm not kicking it with my leg. So I like going offset with that. We can also go 2 dumbbells. I'm just gonna show you with these little dudes, right? But if we were to go 2 dumbbells and we're just gonna lift, and then I like to do this one every step. So I think we've talked about this exercise in the past, but what's cool about this one is as you're stepping, these dumbbells like kind of start to swing a little bit. So you really have to be locked in and under control so they don't swing and they don't throw you off. And that's one thing you'll notice with these exercises is we're really trying to improve body control and awareness with our athletes. So it's not just, doing these ab exercises to have, good looking abs, right? There's a purpose for it. And as I mentioned earlier, it helps with sprinting and jumping and stability, right? All those things. But another portion of this is the fact that it does help with body control and body awareness, which, as you've heard us talk about repeatedly, is very important. Number 3, we're going plank with a dumbbell pull through. So I'm not like the biggest fan of planks. There's nothing against them, right? Just like your traditional plank. I'm just like, I think there's other things, but time and a place for everything, right? This one I like, it's a variation of the plank. We're gonna be here and then we're gonna reach under, pull through. So we have to be stable. Biggest thing here, actually 2 big things. Number 1, make sure you have, oh geez, my arms aren't that long. Gotta scooch. Make sure that you have your hand under your shoulder. I see a lot of people go here, and that gets like hard and hurts. And then the other thing too is watch your hips, right? We're not like freaking pitching a tent right here. And also we're not trying to have our hips swing back and forth. You wanna stay tight as you go. Try to keep your hips parallel to the ground as much as you can. Number 4, we are going a dumbbell overhead walk. So I like using overhead movements to train the core. Something like this, right? Where I have to stay tall. Hold on, my sleeves are caught in my dumbbells. Where you gotta stay tall, right? 1 step into the next. This is great for your shoulders as well, but just working on the trunk control and having our trunk stabilizing our body during these movements, right? And what that means is I'm not just working on your generic flexion, extension of the core, like with a crunch. Rather, I'm indirectly working my core because it is stabilizing my body as my arms are up and as my legs are moving. My body, right, like think about a bridge. You got the end point, right, and then you got that middle. And the middle part is your trunk and it's your core. So you have to be super stable because that's what's gonna keep you tall. That's what's gonna allow you to have that body control. I find it absolutely hilarious when I contradict myself because I just said how I'm not a massive fan of planks, but I have 2 plank exercises in here. Anyways, we're going Copenhagen. So I think this is a fantastic exercise. Obliques also works the inner thigh. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but upper leg on the box, bottom leg right here, hips stay high. Okay, make sure, like I said, we're using our adductor versus a lot of people will like put it into their knee to try to keep them up, right? But make sure it's in the adductor. Hips stay high with the trunk. This one's very popular, fantastic for athletes. So we incorporate Copenhagen's quite a bit for our athletes. All right, next up, we're going a skater with an overhead med ball. I don't know what else to say. Essentially, we're doing a skater with the med ball over our head. I like to drop from a box, but if you're just starting off, we can go from the floor. So similarly to what I was talking about when we did the dumbbell overhead, having something overhead requires a lot of trunk stability. So we go skater, overhead, stabilize, reset, overhead, stabilize. And then when we get a little bit more advanced, we can go from a box, right? Whoa, where I jump, overhead, boom, have to stabilize, right? Load it up. As I mentioned, anytime we go overhead, I just really like that effect on the trunk, on the back as well, right? We gotta have those stabilizers throughout our back. It's not just the front. So hitting some things like this, super awesome to help develop that full trunk. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about jumping. So jumping is one of the best things we can do to train the core, whether we're doing like max jumps or just more of our like extensive plyometrics, where we just hit like pogos or jump rope or just more casual, not as intense of a jump. Something like that is fantastic to work the trunk, right? All things, front, back, just your trunk in general. If I, stop jumping for a little bit and then if I get back into it, my core gets absolutely sore, especially if I'm hitting like some max box jumps, just having to contract and extend. Everything goes through that center, right? So doing stuff like that, it will indirectly train the core, even though it's, kind of directly hitting it, but it's not what you would typically think for a core exercise. A lot of these athletic movements that you do are training your core. So keep those in the program. If you're not doing them, start and you will notice a big difference. Next up, we're going a resistance band explosive knee drive. So I'm gonna overlay clips of Alex doing this, but typically I will use this for more of either like a speed drill, working on mechanics for that good knee punch, or I will also use this to build up the lower limb. So foot, ankle, the calf as well, because I like doing things in more of that also like dynamic functional way where I will still hit some, calf stuff, but if I can do it in a way that directly applies to a mechanic, I love doing that. However, this one's fantastic for our core as well. We're fighting through the bands, as you can see. So we have to be strong through our trunk because if not, number one, we're not gonna fight through the bands and we're gonna collapse at the top. So we have to be tall, we have to be strong, because that's transferring to our speed and sprint mechanics of having, good body position, especially when we're in top speed and we wanna be upright. So fighting through these bands, getting in that good position right here, you have to be super duper strong. To bring that knee up and fight through, you have to be strong. That hip flexor, that lower ab. So this is a really good one to hit the trunk. Last up, one of the best things we can also do, I feel like I say that to every single exercise I introduce, one of the best things, but compound lifting. What I mean by this is your back squats, your deadlifts, your pull-ups. Even if we're doing more explosive or more power stuff like a hang clean, these target the trunk so much, the stability, the strength to support the movement you're doing. Like if you're doing a heavy back squat, right, your trunk has to be so strong all the way around to support the movement, to aid, to assist. Same thing with a trap bar, with a deadlift, even pull-ups, hanging and pulling yourself up. So don't undervalue these types of exercises. In order to train the trunk, right, the core, it's not just going to be your like aesthetic exercises. It's all these things, especially for athletes. These compound movements, jumping, these more like mechanic drills might be some of the best things you can do to train your trunk in a way that will directly apply to sports. So hopefully you enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.